Jake, right out of the gate, bigger game, Utah or BYU?
I think that this Utah game versus UCLA is a huge game. Like I look at this game and I say, if you win this game, for Utah, if you win this game, you're really setting yourself up to reach some really high marks this season. I think that, if you lose this game, obviously it's a little bit of a setback. It's not great, but when you look at the schedule, you've got this UCLA, USC swing. So to me, there's a lot of opportunity here. So, which is the bigger game? I'd probably go with the Utah game, but I think that, for BYU, there is so much opportunity here. I mean, if you were to come out and win this game, and a lot of people, based on reading and seeing what everyone's saying about it, a lot of people think that BYU is going to win this game by a field goal, and I think that they can win it by a touchdown. I think they're capable of that, but they're going to have to create some turnovers. You can't allow, Drew Pine to just stand back there and do whatever the hell he wants. So to me, I think the bigger game is probably Utah and UCLA, but I think both of these teams have a ton to play for, and I think both of them have pretty large potential if they can find a way to win these games this week.
Yeah, I think very clearly BYU is playing for their season. And I'm not saying that Utah is not, but I think when you have the luxury of being in the Pac-12, I think you realize very quickly that you have get-back games. BYU doesn't have a get-back game. If they're a two-loss team, their season's essentially coming down to which, pool and weed eater, Acme roach killer bowl that they're going to go to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I just think that you have far less room for error if you are BYU.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that BYU it's always been that kind of situation for BYU as an independent. And I think that's one of the fascinating parts that we'll finally get to talk about next year with this team, being in the Big 12 and having the conference affiliation and having that more natural path to the college football playoff. You won't have to deal with this issue moving forward. But right now, yeah, I mean, I think that, again, if you can find a way to beat Notre Dame, I think it does so much for you. It allows you to say, hey, obviously we beat Notre Dame. It was a great game, neutral site, national game, like huge moment.
Yeah, dude.
And then you look forward and it's like, all right, then you've got Arkansas coming up after this game, and it's like, all right, if you could find a way to win both of these, that would be crazy. But I think the problem is that with what happened in the Oregon game, it makes me I'm concerned. I have to be honest. Like I don't trust this team in big games. I trust that they can reel Wyoming back in, but I don't trust this team right now in big national games.
When you say you don't trust BYU in big games, what does that mean? Like, is it a performance issue? Is it a coaching issue? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a multitude of things. I think that, like against Oregon, the reason I felt great about them going up there and actually having a chance to break that home winning streak that Oregon has was because I felt like, hey, you had just come off a big victory. Like there was a lot of momentum in the program. You were feeling great about yourself. And then you just came out flat. And I don't know, like there's not a good explanation as to why they came out flat. And that's kind of what I've been talking about all week. That's kind of been my thing this week. Like, what is the answer or the fix for coming out flat? I don't know what that is. Is it the way they prepared during the week? Is it, the first 10 plays on offense that are scripted by A-Rod and the boys? Like, what is it? And so to me, when you're going to a neutral site game against a team like Notre Dame, who has an absolute, wrecking ball of a running back in Estime, who's ready to go for this game and clearly is hyped on this game, you're telling me that I should have faith that this team isn't going to come out flat, that this team is going to come out ready to take someone's head off. Like, that's my thing.
I don't know that it's have faith, but what I do know is this team is very well coached. Kalani Sitake and this staff, I'm a big believer in Ed Lamb. I'm a big believer in A-Rod. Tuiaki, like, I know that there's questions about Tuiaki. My biggest question is, do you have the goods? Do you have the talent on defense to win this game? That's the only thing that matters to me. When you look at the injuries that we're talking about, if Gabe Summers is anything less than 95% they're not winning this game. If he doesn't play, they're not winning this game.
Right.
They've got to stop the run. And to do that, you're going to have to be exceptional up front. You're going to have to be consistent. My biggest fear with this game for BYU is you have not been consistent up front. You have not consistently had 7 guys in the right place at the right time. And you mentioned the Oregon game. I think we saw that on display against Oregon. And I think, frankly, that's why Notre Dame's a 3.5-point favorite in this game. And maybe that line is accurate. I don't know. But if BYU is not going to consistently display an ability to stop the run, they're not going to be in this game. They are going to get gashed. It is going to be a clock control game for Notre Dame, which is exactly what they're trying to do. Fast. And I think that when you look at Estime and you look at the way that this offense has worked this year for Notre Dame, they want to control the clock, and they want to do that with the run game. And I think Drew Pine is a decent, not exceptional in any way, not special in any way, but he's got enough weapons, especially with Michael Mayer at tight end. He's got enough weapons to beat you with his arm because they're going to run the football well. It's simply a matter of what BYU's answer on defense is.
Yeah, and I think we all have some, maybe anxiety is too strong, but some fear of this concept of BYU just being, or of Notre Dame being able to just run all over BYU, of the the ghost of missed tackles in the Oregon game coming back to get you in the Notre Dame game, and I think those are completely justified. Frankly, I think again, guys like Max Tooley and Ben Bywater need to show the hell up in this game. Like I need, for those guys specifically to set the tone early in this game. And again, I know that Audric Estime is a difficult guy to tackle. This is someone who is sub 6 feet, so his pad level is really low. I think we looked yesterday, he was like 225, 230-pound back. Like, this guy is for real. And I look at this and I say, okay, yeah, if Notre Dame is going to be able to run and control the clock, that essentially just means that Jaron Hall and that offense are going to have to score every time they have the ball. And that's never a recipe for success. So,
yeah, and I think the guy you're going to hear a lot about on Saturday afternoon in Vegas is Micah Harper. I think he's a guy now with Malik Moore being out for BYU as we get you ready for BYU and Notre Dame on the Monty Show presented by the Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com. I think what you're seeing is you're looking at a situation where you have a guy in Malik Moore that's not going to play with a broken hand. This is a big deal for this defense, and I think we've seen with him out of the lineup. I mean, Micah Harper, I think, has played pretty well, and I think he's a guy that is not going to replace, obviously, what Malik Moore brings to the yard, but he's a guy that can do some things, and I've been impressed with his play in the box at the line of scrimmage. And obviously, as we've been talking about, I mean, against Audric Estime and Notre Dame, you're going to need that.
Yes.
But you look at the tackle leaders for Notre Dame, and you look at for BYU, you look at the numbers. It's Bywater, it's Peyton Wilger, it's Tyler Batty, it's Keenan Peely. Like, those guys are going to have to be at the top of the list because you're going to have to break Notre Dame's will. And I just, I'm not trying to be negative. I just don't know that BYU is that football team. I don't know. We've talked a lot about, is Kalani Sitake too nice? And is this where this comes back to bite you in the ass? Because I don't know that this defense is mean. If we're being really brutally honest, is BYU's defense mean, tough? Do they want to fight? Are they a snarling group? I don't know the answer to that. And I think if you want to win this game, you better be a hell of a lot meaner than you were at Autzen Stadium against Oregon because you were soft in that game. And if you're going to be soft in this game, Notre Dame's going to run all over you because they're bigger than you are up front. You're injured on the defensive line. Your safeties are going to be down at the line of scrimmage. Your linebackers are going to have a big afternoon. And frankly, Jake, I just don't know that they're that guy.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the leadership on the team, and it's like this, like BYU is notorious for being nice. Like, I think we can all agree with that. It's always been a conversation piece. At the same time, I think that when we talk to, like on the show, when we talk to guys like Max Tooley or anybody else that we might have on from the defense, like I think that these guys are very accountable to their mistakes and the missed tackles. But I do tend to agree. Like, I would love to hear a guy like Max say something like Estime said. I would love to hear them say, yeah, we're coming out looking to shut these guys down because we know that their lifeblood is the run. And if we stop the run, this game's over. Like, I would have loved to have heard someone from BYU say that.
Yeah, but I just don't think that's who they are. I mean, I think when you look at this game and you look at how this game sets up, and you start trying to diagnose how these two teams are going to go about their business, I think it would be shocking if BYU comes out flat. I'd be really surprised by that.
Same.
I'd be really, I would be really surprised if BYU were not better against the run this week. They've spent a lot of time in practice talking about a gap, being gap sound, being assignment sound at linebacker. You're going to have your safeties down at the line of scrimmage, and thankfully Micah Harper is a much more stout defender against the run than Malik Moore is, and Drew Pine, again, the quarterback at Notre Dame, is not a prolific passer at this point in his career, but they've spent a lot of time stopping the run this week.
Yeah.
I want to see the fruits of that labor on the field. And this is a one-possession game. This is a field goal kind of game. This is going to be dirty, nasty football. And I like what you've said this week. I think you're exactly right. This could be the game that Jaren Hall defines his BYU career by, because I think he's a guy that's going to have a massive, massive day on the box score. He's going to have to throw for 300. He's probably going to have to run for 50. Miles Davis is not likely to play in this game. I think you are going to see the Jaren Hall show. Now, I am also told that Puka Nacua should be good to go in this game. Chase Roberts is much more up in the air. But Puka and Gunner should be on the field together for the first time this year on a full-time basis. I think that's a big get, but It's going to be hi. Good to meet you. It's going to be the Braden Cospers of the world that are going to win this game for BYU, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that, Jaren is the one guy you can look to on this team and say, yeah, he's been really consistent. We know what we're getting from Jaren Hall, and I think that, again, we talk so much about the run with Notre Dame, but at the same time, I think if that backfield can somehow produce, 100, 150 yards, that'd be crazy. I mean, what would that do for this offense? But that's probably not going to happen. And so to me, it's like it comes down to, again, big plays. Like I've said, I think early in the game, if you can, manufacture that 40-yard touchdown bomb to kind of set the tone, I think that would be huge. And I think that is something that I feel pretty confident they can do. I feel like BYU, especially, when you have for the first time, Puka and Gunner, and then you mix in Keanu Hill, and let's just espouse that Chase Roberts does play. That'd be nice to have him in the slot. Like, there are options. You have options. And I think that if they can just find a way to get their feet on the ground and settle in this game offensively, they're going to be fine. But I ultimately, I really do feel like this comes down to the defense more than the offense. If the defense can stop the run, they're going to be fine. If they don't,
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the secondary players, the Cody Epps of the world comes to mind. Braden Cosper.
Yeah.
Those guys have to play well. Let's get your comments. What do you guys think? Give us score predictions on BYU and Notre Dame. I think this is one of those games where you're going to find out very quickly who's what and where. You're going to find out who wants it. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see exactly who wants to play this football game. And who wants all the smoke, as Jake likes to say. All them young whippersnappers.
Whippersnappers.
They want the smoke.
Right.
By the way, it is Friday.
Yes.
It is Friday here on the Monty Show. Football Friday presented by our good friends at Quack Car Wash. Love the guys at Quack Car Wash. Send us pictures when you go through the car wash. We love seeing that. We love being able to, to offer you guys free car washes and discounts and whatnot. So send us pictures of yourself going through the car wash at Quack. They're our newest partner on the show. We love having them on board. Bring your kids to that car wash, by the way, because all the different colors, all the different lights, all the friendly faces, like it's a fun experience going to Quack, and it's quick. It's 5 minutes.
Yes.
They call themselves Quack Quack.
See what they did there? It's
just
quick, and it's in the name. It's Quick Quack.
It's efficient and stuff. Even when the line is long, you're not there 10 minutes. I mean, when the line's long, you're still moving through quick. So make sure you find your nearest Quack Car Wash all over the great state of Utah, Arizona. I know we have a lot of our friends in Phoenix. Look for Quack Car Wash there as well.
Yes.
But great to have Quack on board for Football Friday right here on the Monty Show. First one in this morning, MY Jazz fan. What's up, my guy? Good to see you. Happy Friday. Kurt Myers, what's going on? Kurt says, is the ACC breaking up? Not yet. Not yet. We'll find out. Mike Chase, good morning, says, morning, fellas. Getting ready to drive to Vegas to watch the game. I'll be listening to the best sports talk show in the state as I travel down there. Thanks, Monty.
Let's go, Mike.
Thank you, Mike Chase.
Let's
Appreciate
go.
you, friend. Good to see you.
Yes.
Always good to have you guys on the road watching the show. We very much appreciate that. Kurt Myers says, Mike, be careful down there. Just had a mishap on the strip. Now,
Okay.
There's been some interesting happenings. From what I've been told by fans who have been tweeting me pictures and whatnot, and please feel free to find me on Twitter. Tweet me pictures of your voyage through the great state of Utah, Nevada, and into Vegas. There you see my Twitter. Hit me on Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Would love to see your trip. Would love to see your experience for BYU and Notre Dame in Las Vegas. Provo Cougar fan says, biggest fear, D-line rush 3 scheme. Yeah. I think this is where we find out how pliable Kalani Sitake's defensive scheme is. I think you're going to see you can't rush 3 against Notre Dame.
No way.
You can. I wouldn't even rush 3 against Notre Dame in dime situations. I just would not. I would force Drew Pine to throw the ball and beat me, and he's got guys to do that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, when you look at that wide receiver core, and you see guys like Mayer and Styles, when you have 3 guys with 10 catches or more already, I mean, you're looking at an offense that can throw the football. But Lorenzo Styles is going to be a huge matchup for BYU in that secondary. It'll be interesting to see how they handle him and Michael Mayer at the same time. Again, Micah Harper's got his hands full, I think. And this is where Michael Mayer worries you, because when you're running the ball and you're so focused on stopping the run, the tight end tends to be a weapon, and BYU has a very, very good tight end. Stephen Barnhart says, good morning from Florida. Stephen, hope you guys are well down there. Justin Salas says, good morning, fellas. I think BYU loses by 7 to 10 points. Didn't really trust BYU in the big games. Well Alex Chacon says 55 to nothing.
Well, I mean, there is, okay.
Okay.
Please.
I don't think that's an accurate score. I mean, Arlington Bears, my guy. What's up, Chris Karn? Good to see you. Leaving at 10 for Vegas. Let's go. Let's go.